Good afternoon. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let us start with the further part in our module number 1. We wish to discuss about one concept, which is work breakdown structure, which is also abbreviated as WBS. So, as far as project management is concerned, when we say WBS, it stands for work breakdown structure. One of the important thing is this can be tailored for use in a number of different ways. Means there is no any craft your WBS. For a particular project, the WBS work breakdown structure can be prepared in multiple ways depending upon the various factors developing or drawing that work breakdown structure. This work breakdown structure, it may illustrate how each piece of work contributes to the whole in terms of performance, responsibility, budget, and cost. This may list the vendors and subcontractors associated with the specific tasks. This may be used to document all parties that have signed off on their various commitments to the project. It may note the detailed specifications for any work packages, establish account numbers, specify the hardware software to be used, identify the resource needs, etc. It may also serve as basis for making the cost estimates, estimates of task duration, and its use. They are not limited only by the needs of project and imagination of the project manager. No one version of work breakdown structure will suit all the needs. So this work breakdown structure is not a document, but any given breakdown structure is simply one of the many possible documents. So this is a summary of what this work breakdown structure is all about. Let me suggest structure. The work, whatever is in your hand, that is nothing but the project. It will be having variety of elements, variety of uh, tasks which are to be performed. If you go on putting in a chart, putting in a diagrammatic format, that this is the level 1 work, then below that level 2. So each task will be again subdivided into different activities. Again those activities will be subdivided into different elements. So likewise, if you go on preparing a detailed description of the various works which are to be carried out in a particular project, then that diagram, that chart, we call it as a work breakdown structure. In this case, there is no single document that this is the only work breakdown structure for a particular project, because this work breakdown structure can be crafted, can be uh, prepared in multiple ways. And since it can be prepared in multiple ways, there are different people who will be trying to draw this work breakdown structure in their own way. So some people will include these vendors, subcontractors associated with individual tasks. Some people will be specifying the work packages, account numbers, hardware, software to be used, resources which are required. Some people will be identifying and specifying the cost estimations and estimation of the duration for individual tasks. So likewise, there are variety of ways in which we can prepare this work breakdown structure, but ultimately the main purpose of having this work breakdown structure in hand is nothing but understanding the variety of activities which are to be performed in a particular project, when they will be performed, to which bigger activity they are aligned, what are the various levels at which the activities are going to be performed, and this breakdown structure serves as the input when you go for preparing the project schedule. So this is a sample work breakdown structure you can see in the diagram. I hope the diagram is visible to you. Is it visible to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So if you look at the diagram, you can see how many levels are there in this diagram. On left hand side, levels are mentioned. How many levels are there?
Three.
Three levels are there. Correct. So level one is the first level. That is the project. Whatever XYZ project you have, that project is nothing but the inside that project. Whatever are the main activities, main functions, they have been mentioned in level 2. So you can see in level 2, one is basic design, second is mechanical subassembly, third is electrical subassembly, next is final assembly, then administration work and project management work. So these are nothing but the various activities which are involved as level 2 activities. So once these level 2 activities are completed, we can say that the project is going to get completed. So if we go from top to bottom, we go on dividing the work into different activities. If we go from bottom to top, we go on clubbing the activities and sharing it with the upper level or the next level, whatever we are having. Now, from level 2 to level 3, you can see for each block there are certain arrows drawn, and one sample level 3 activities they have been shown. Like if I take electrical subassembly, then the work which is related to electrical components, the instruments which are required, and assembly of those particular electrical components what we have. So these are some of the various activities, sub activities involved under electrical subassembly. Likewise, there will be certain activities involved under mechanical subassembly. There will be certain activities involved under basic design. Likewise, there will be some activities in administration, some activities in project management. These all will come at the level 3. Again, when I say the activity or the sub activity under that electrical subassembly level, again that there is one more arrow pointing downwards. So there may be again sub activities. So if we go from level 1 towards the higher level, that is level 2, level 3, level 4, level 5, higher in the sense the number goes on increasing. We start with level 1, then level 2, level 3, we are going top to bottom, we are going in the downward way. So whether the width of your work breakdown structure will go on increasing or the width will go on decreasing, you can put in chat box. When we go from top to bottom in the next levels, the width of your will go on increasing or it will go on decreasing. Anaga says increasing. Yes, other fast. Vaishnavi increasing. Is there anyone who feels that the width of anybody feels? Okay, I think everybody feels that the width is going to get increased. Okay, let us go to the next example. There are variety of levels you can see. I hope the diagram is visible to you, this diagram. Kirti says decrease. Kirti, can you justify why the width is going to decrease? Kirti, can you justify why the width of work breakdown structure is going to get decreased? Because arrow gets downside. No, I will just explain the next work breakdown structure. Then you will come to know why the width is going on increasing. Let us see the work breakdown structure which is in front of you. How many levels are there which have been shown? Level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, level 5, level 6, level 7, and more levels, they are yet to come. Correct? They are not specified. They haven't been mentioned. They haven't been drawn. But still, there are so many levels which will be coming up. So that has been shown. Now let us go one by one. Again, level 1 is what? It is the main project idea, the project concept. In this particular project, there are two phases, phase 1, phase 2. Okay. So this phase 1 and phase 2, when these two phases gets completed, we can say that the entire project is complete. So from one block, we get divided into two blocks, that is phase 1 and phase 2. So that is our level 2. Phase 2, there are two different complexes. There are two again division of works at level 3. One is industrial complex and second is office complex. So maybe this particular project is with respect to developing a factory or construction of any factory. So maybe the project title is not mentioned, but yes, Tasmia, is there any doubt? Tasmia, hand is raised. Any doubt?
Yes, sir.
Yes?
No, sir.
No. So hand raised by mistake?
Yeah. Actually,
Okay.
I was just no, nothing. Wait a minute. Yes, I'm audible, sir. Am I able to listen? Because your voice was not visible to me, and I was just placing my headsets, but it was not. The
Okay.
voice was not making me hear. But now
Now,
you're
is
audible.
it audible?
Yes.
Okay. So you can see, let us consider that this is a project with respect to construction of an uh, industrial unit, or it may be for a factory. So in this particular factory construction, there are two phases. In first phase, again, there are two different complexes to be constructed. One is industrial complex and second is office complex. If you consider the office complex, then there are three different blocks to be constructed: office block 1, office block 2, office block 3. In this particular office blocks, that is block 1, block 2, block 3, again if I say block 2, there are three different works to be completed. One is grounds, second is offices, third is car parking area. Again, in offices, we need to go for services and building. If we go for services, then fire and security, climate control, electrical and lighting arrangement. Maybe we can have air conditioning systems, etc., etc. So again, these are the works. If I say electrical and lighting, maybe there will be another components of works. In climate control, again there may be certain components of work. So this is, if now we go from bottom to top, fire and security, climate control, electrical and lighting, if these works are completed, I am only completing one part of level 6, that is services. Similarly, in building, there may be some other works which, if they get completed, building will get completed. Services and building together, it will complete this offices part. This offices part, along with grounds and car parking, this will, if this is completed, we can have offices block 2. Once offices block 2, office block 1, office block 3, these all are getting completed. This will complete only the office complex. Still, industrial complex is another part. So once this office complex and industrial complex are completed, then phase 1 will be over. And parallelly, when you have your phase 2 over, then phase 1 and phase 2 together, we can say that the construction of factory, the entire project is completed. So now you can see, from top to bottom, one block gets splitted into two blocks. This one block again splitted into two blocks. Out of this one, it has got splitted into three. Might be industrial complex will have four subcomponents. So likewise, if you go from top to bottom, for each block, there will be more than one sub divisions, sub components of the work. Again, each component will have some sub components. So likewise, the width is definitely going to get increase. So it will be like a triangle structure. You have something at the top, and then the things will go on expanding, things will go on increasing as you go from top to bottom. So that's why the width of your work breakdown structure goes on increasing as you go from level 1 towards the bottom levels, or from top to bottom. Let us go to another diagram. You can see here, this is a, there are total 3 diagrams. I hope all the 3 diagrams are in front of you. Is it correct?
Yes,
Option
yes.
1, no logical work breakdown structure. Option 2 is work breakdown by function, and option 3, it is work breakdown by venue. Okay. So the project is one and the same, but depending upon certain, you can say, certain priorities or certain parameters, these same project has been crafted into variety of work breakdown structures. So can somebody tell me what is the project in this case? Earlier all diagrams we have simply written project, and then we have divided the works. Now here there is a specific project. If the diagram is visible to you, can somebody tell me what is the project? Yes, who will tell me what is the project?
Means what, sir? What is a project means what? It is written the wedding project.
Yeah, means it is a project regarding some wedding function.
Hmm.
Correct? So
Hmm.
a wedding function can be also considered as a project which is to be executed.
Hmm.
That every day this wedding is going to happen. Once in a lifetime. That is a project. Is it correct? So
हाँ. एक मिनट. Hmm. Hello.
project is work breakdown structure in three different ways. One is no logical work breakdown structure means, as you know, in wedding there are so many activities to be performed. So simply we have drawn some arrows and put at a level that these are the n number of activities which are to be performed. How these activities are going to get performed? The first option is different functional specializations. Maybe your beautician and so so many of work packages are provided. Again there will be that particular functional area. Again there will be certain small elements which are under those sub work packages. So depending upon the functional specialization, there will be a work breakdown structure prepared. Third work breakdown structure, are going to get performed. Structure has been specified according to the venues where the activities will be performed. They have been specified at that particular venue. Remain one and the same. So that's why in the initial phase we said work breakdown structure is not a unique document. Work breakdown structure can be specified, can be crafted in multiple ways depending upon the requirements. So likewise, multiple people according to their requirement, they can craft, they can draw this work breakdown structure in different manners. Like if you try to draw the work breakdown structure for your own project, because as a semester 4 students MMS, you are undergoing, you have a project to be completed. So the title of the project will be at the top, then the main activities, then again in that main activities there will be some sub activities, again in the sub activities there will be again some sub activities. Likewise, if you go to draw a chart, that chart is nothing but the work breakdown structure for your own project. Is it audible now?
Yes, sir.
So this work breakdown structure, it may be useful to create organizational breakdown structure. So that is another part, OBS. This organizational breakdown structure displays the organizational units responsible for each of the various work elements in the work breakdown structure, or who must approve or be notified of the progress or changes in its scope, since the WBS and OBS may well not be identical. Work breakdown structure and another part is organizational breakdown structure. When we go for organizational breakdown structure, it takes the help of this work breakdown structure, and then it also displays which are the organizational units responsible for the particular work elements specified in work breakdown structure. Like let us say if we go to this particular second option 2, one of the activities guest arrangement. So we should know in that particular organization, or since this is a family project, we who will be responsible for this guest arrangements, what is the scope, what type of arrangements he needs to do, okay, who should be notified if there are any changes, who should be consulted if there are any changes, or who should be who should approve that a particular activity is to be done or not. So these all things will be mentioned in the organizational breakdown structure, which will be dependent on work breakdown structure. Some major section of work breakdown structure may be the responsibility of two or more departments, while other sections of work breakdown structure may all be the responsibility of one department. So in organization, there may be multiple activities which will be responsibility of a particular department, or there may be one particular activity which is responsibility of multiple departments. So depending upon the work, we need to identify that who is the person, or who is the which is the department, who will be responsible, who will be who needs to be reported, who needs to be approve the changes for the particular activity. Such a document can be useful for department manager to see their total responsibility for a particular project. So once this organizational breakdown structure document is ready, the department manager, once he sees that organizational breakdown structure, he will come to know that in that particular document or in that particular project, which activities are related to his department and how much responsibility he is having in that particular project. There is another document which is crafted, which is linear responsibility chart. Again, in that chart, the responsibilities are fixed for the particular activities, but we are not supposed to go into details of this linear responsibility chart because it is not mentioned in our syllabus. But you can remember that there is another kind of document which is linear responsibility chart, and it is similar to the organizational breakdown structure. And in that document, the responsibilities for variety of activities mentioned in work breakdown structure, they are indicated. The next part is about project priorities. The main priorities for projects are scope, schedule, and cost. So all these are important priorities. Setting the priorities, they enable the project team to determine which of the three is most essential. So whether uh, on priority, scope should be focused, schedule should be focused, or cost should be focused, that is decided. These priorities support the scope planning, decision making, constant management, and plan optimization, negotiating the project changes, and integrated change control. So the variety of activities which are involved in project management, they will be supported by deciding the priorities among the scope, schedule, and cost. So considering the trade-off between scope, schedule, and cost by specifying the small changes to the stated project objectives. So what will happen if the scope is changed? What will be the effect of this change in scope on the schedule and cost? How much will be the variation in your project objectives? So these things, if one parameter gets changed, what will be the changes in other parameters? That trade-off on the project objectives, that we need to consider the options and discuss them with the project team to develop consensus on the priorities, validating the priorities with project sponsor and stakeholders, and make modifications if needed based on their feedback. So once you decide upon the priorities, they should be consulted with the sponsors and stakeholders of your project, and then if any modifications are required based on their feedback, we can make into the priorities. Revisit the priorities following business reorganizations and during project reviews. So among this scope, cost, and schedule, the prioritization has to be made properly. The next part is about the project identification. This project identification is mainly related to idea generation for your project and then selecting the project based upon the variety of ideas they have been generated. So this project idea, it can be discovered either from internal sources or variety of external sources. So how the project idea gets generated? It is knowing the potential customer requirements, watching the emerging trends in demands for certain products, scope for producing the substitute product. So already there is some product which is in market, but some substitute if you launch in the market, there may be scope to sell that particular product. Success stories of well-known entrepreneurs of or organizations. So based upon some success stories, that how they established their own project, how their projects were successful, what strategy they adopted for having the project as successful, that can also be a baseline as a reference to have the project idea to be generated. Making visit to trade fairs and exhibitions displaying new products and services. When you go for uh, the industrial exhibitions or the trade fairs, there are multiple companies who are participating and displaying their products, they displaying their projects which are going on. So looking at those all displays, talking to the people, getting exposure to the experiences of those industries, you can have certain idea generation for starting certain projects. Meeting with government agencies, many times government agencies conduct some various activities to encourage people to start new projects, to come forward and start doing small projects, small business activities. So meeting with those government agencies also can give you some idea for uh, entering into new projects. New product introduced by competitor. If you are already in market, if you are doing certain business, you will be having certain competitors. So looking at what your competitor is doing, you can get certain idea about what can be your new project. So this is nothing but the process of opportunity scanning and identification. So we need to go on checking what are the various opportunities available in market, and then pick up a right opportunity which will be your identification of the project. Normally we say we go for the SWOT analysis: strength, weaknesses, opportunities and threats. So if you have the SWOT analysis for your own organization, then depending upon your strengths and the opportunities which are available in the market, based upon this all parameters mentioned, we can identify certain new project which that organization should look forward to. So you can see this is a diagram. In diagram you can see there are various parameters which are considered for identification of the project. Either it may be demand of the product, or it may be based upon the present players, present organizations who are into the project, market potential and return. If we invest in a particular project, what is the market potential and what are the chances of getting the investment returned back? So the people who are from financial background, they must be knowing the word ROI. What is that? ROI stands for? Is there anyone from finance specialization?
Return on investment.
Return on investment. Yes, correct. So when you are investing something, we should be sure that the investment will get return in a particular time frame, and that should be also one of the important parameter for project identification. Regulatory environment, which are the regulatory authorities, what are their norms, so that will be also essential. Cost involved, payback period and break even analysis, and again raw material availability for the particular project. So these are some of the generalized parameters for project identification. There may be few more parameters depending upon the particular project, because every project is unique. So the way your project will get identified, the basis or the uh, foundation areas which should be considered for identification of the project may be slightly varying depending upon your project. So there are certain parameters we need to check for project feasibility, whether the project is feasible or not. These are market feasibility, techno-economic feasibility, government policies to location, and certain legal aspects. So let us try to understand project feasibility using market feasibility. So this market feasibility is checked using certain techniques which are for demand forecasting. So this demand forecasting is nothing but estimating the future demand or future sales of a product. The various methods which are used are depending upon the time series method. We can have exponential smoothing method and moving average method. So already one PDF has been uploaded on Google Classroom, and there are certain numerical problems which will take up in the upcoming session based upon this forecasting method. So time being, just remember that there are two methods which we have to understand as per the syllabus. That is exponential smoothing method for forecasting and moving average method for demand forecasting. So market feasibility will be determined by using the quantitative methods like doing this demand forecasting using certain standard methods of demand forecasting. Then techno-economic feasibility, as the word indicates, techno-economic. So technically and economically, we should check whether the project is feasible or not. So when I say technical feasibility or technical analysis, so we need to consider the technical and engineering aspects for the particular project. They should be examined, and we should have a policy to check the technical and engineering aspects of your project. The purpose of this technical analysis is to ensure the project is technically feasible and all inputs required for project, inputs in the sense the technical inputs which are required, they are available with the uh, either with the project team or the organization or the locality. The inputs are available. The second purpose is to facilitate the most optimal formulation of project in terms of technology, size, location, and so on, some other parameters. So the formulation of or the combination of technology, the size of your project, the location at which it is going to be executed, the human resource involved, the capital investment, all these things. So we should make sure that we have an optimal formulation of these all parameters. What this technical analysis is involving: the manufacturing process or technology, some technical arrangements, which material is used as input and what are the utilities, plant capacity, the location of your project, the site at which you are going to construct the project or the plant, machineries and equipment which are required, any environmental aspects need to be considered, projects charts and layouts, then schedule of the project implementation, how the activities are going to be conducted, the work schedule, and need for considering the alternatives. So in certain cases, which are the available alternatives. So these all things, they should be available and they should be analyzed as the technical analysis of your project. When we go for the financial analysis, this is nothing but to ensure that a satisfactory return is earned on the investment made in the project, because every firm which is coming into market and trying to execute certain projects, they are not executing it for charity, they are executing it to earn profits, to run their business. So the firm must be ensured that once they are making certain investment in the project, they will be getting satisfied returns from that particular investment. So this financial analysis will be considering which aspects: cost of your project, then the means of financing, then means who is going to finance, from where the finance is going to come, estimates of sales and production. So what will be the estimated sales? So you can take the help of this demand forecasting for the market feasibility. The cost of production, working capital requirements, the financing of that, estimation of the working results, projected cash flow statement. So I think the people who are from finance background, these all words will be familiar with you more than other people. So what do you mean by cash flow statement? Anyone from finance? Have you heard this word, cash flow statement? No, nobody is from finance. Rutuja, are you from finance? Yes. So can you tell what this cash flow statement indicates? No. Okay. So we will have this discussion on cash flow statements once we go for this project investment details and the numerical problems on that. There are again two words, cash inflow and cash outflow. So how the cash comes in and how the cash goes away. So that is all about your cash flow statement. Okay. And projected balance sheets. So these are nothing but the parameters which are to be considered in the economic or financial analysis of the projects. So this work will be with respect to the people involved in finance department, finance function of the organization. So as a finance manager, you will be responsible to carry out this financial analysis and give your green signal that financially the project is okay. Financially the aspects have been checked and the project is uh, giving satisfactory results as far as the financial analysis is concerned, because that decision is very essential. Then government policy to the location. So in certain cases, when you wish to establish certain project, it may be establishing a factory or it may be establishing any infrastructure project, then we need to consider certain government policies to get certain benefits from the government policies. So the fundamental objective of government policies with respect to location is to achieve balanced regional development of the economy through decentralization of projects with a view to ensure the following benefits. So government is always promoting to have the development which is balanced. It should not be imbalanced. Like we also many times say that if you take metro cities like Mumbai, Pune, Nashik, Aurangabad, so those particular cities and the surrounding areas, you will find there are so many industries, there are so many developments because everybody is trying to invest. Everybody wish to start the project in that particular area. So if this happens, then people starts migrating from other region to this area which are developed, and then the development in the state gets imbalanced. So that's why government will be encouraging the companies to start their projects in underdeveloped areas, underdeveloped locations, so that the people will have employment opportunities, their financial progress, that all will be getting because of that projects which are coming in that particular region. So the various objectives are a reduction in inequalities of income and wealth in various regions, provision of employment opportunities on an equitable basis, increase in the standard of living in backward areas through removal of poverty. So now in Konkan also we say there are no much industries as compared to the cities or as compared to the developed areas. So if we can have various projects which are in this region, then definitely the employment opportunities will be locally available. So avoid over concentration of projects in particular region. So if that is happening, there will be a variety of problems like overpopulation or the uh, the resources like water, it may be electricity, it may be residential facilities. They will not be enough because the people who are there, they will be more than the amount of people that particular place, that particular region can accommodate for development. Controlling social problems, development of slums, overcrowding, pollution, traffic congestion, etc. The measures taken by government for dispersal of industries, they are of two types. Positive measures for encouraging location of project in backward classes and negative measures for restraining establishment of project in over concentrated areas. So government is taking two types of measures. Positive measures means they are encouraging industries to start their projects in underdeveloped regions, and negative measures means if somebody says that I want to start some project in Mumbai or Pune, they will try to restrict. They will not give permissions. So that is negative measure. So that in over concentrated areas, multiple projects should not come. They should be diverted to the less developed areas. Certain legal aspects. So as a project manager, there are many legal concerns with respect to the contracts, damages in the project, injuries, safety of the people. So many legal aspects we need to consider. But different countries, different region, they have their different legal systems, legal provisions. So it is very difficult for drafting some common legal aspects for project. So it is very difficult for PMI also to integrate these all details into the body of knowledge because it is not unique everywhere. The legal aspects, they vary, they change from region to region, from country to country. So depending upon where the project is going to get executed, we should try to follow the legal regulations which have been mentioned in that particular region. The last part from this particular module is with respect to the detailed project report, which is abbreviated as DPR. So this detailed project report, it is nothing but the output of planning and design phase of a project. DPR is very detailed and elaborate plan for project indicating the overall program, different roles and responsibilities, activities and resources required for the project. It is a final detailed appraisal report on the project and blueprint for its execution and eventual operation. So once, let us say, if you want to start with a project, if you want to start with certain business and you need to take bank loan for finance of your project. So if you go to bank, you need to submit a detailed project report. They will check the feasibility of the project. They will check whether the project will sustain in the market, whether there will be return on investment, and if the bank is assured that yes, this project is really feasible project from techno-economical perspective, from market perspective, from the return on investment perspective, then they will be agreed to finance your project. So this particular detailed project report is normally required to submit to certain authorities, either for getting the permissions or getting the finance, or to get certain partners for your project, to have certain stakeholders of your project. So this detailed project report is nothing but a blueprint for execution and eventual operation. So once somebody reads your detailed project report, he will come to know what are the objectives of your project, which resources is required, what is the location of your project, how, what kind of human resources are required, how much will be the investment, how much duration you are going to take for completion of your project. Finally, at what time you will be starting expecting your outcomes from the particular project, who are the probable customers, and how the project is going to sustain in the market, who are the competitors, who are the authorities to give permissions, etc., etc. So all these things will be mentioned in your detailed project report. So anybody reading that will come to know that how your project is going to be executed. So it provides details of basic program, roles, responsibilities, all the activities to be carried out, resources required, possible risks with recommended measures to counter them. The top management policy guidelines, its implementation, its impact on project life, appraisal in terms of financial viability, they are dealt in great detail. DPR is the basic of specification, contract drawings, detailed technical feasibility, financial feasibility, execution of project from practical point of view. This DPR should also highlight nature of inherent risk in the project, potential external risk that are going to influence the outcome. This DPR should also indicate the plans for risk management and risk mitigation. So you can see the variety of elements which will be there in this detailed project report. So general information, background and experience of the project promoters. So who are the, because somebody who is reading this detailed project report, he should know the credentials of the project promoter, whether he has that capacity to sustain, whether he has that technical capability to execute this particular project. Details and working results of industrial concerns already owned and promoted by the project promoters. So checking their assets, how much they have, either it may be financial assets or it may be like capital assets, what they have. Then comes to the, so point number 1 is general information. Point number 2 and 3, they are related to the project promoters and checking their credentials. Point number 4 is with respect to the project which is going to be executed, which is going to be proposed. So now some points are highlighted, but they will be varying from project to project. In this case, it is like plant capacity, manufacturing process to be adopted, technical know-how, which tie-ups or which collaborations you are going to make, management teams for the project, details of land, buildings, plant, machinery, their you can say the detailed plans, details of infrastructural facility like power supply which is required, water supply, transportation facilities, then the raw material requirement, availability, effluents produced by the project, treatment procedures adopted. So if there are any hazardous chemicals coming out from the project, then how they will be treated, how they will be disposed, labor requirements and availability, schedule of, so these all parameters are related to the actual project which is going to be proposed. Then next point number 5 is about how the project will be implemented. So schedule, the cost involved, that is another point, the means of financial projects, working capital requirements and how the arrangements will be made, what will be the marketing plan and selling arrangement, then profitability and cash flow estimates, so that also need to be indicated, mode of repayment of loans, so if you are taking certain loans for executing the project, how the repayment of loans will be undertaken, what will be the plan, government approvals, which authorities approvals are needed for that particular project, local body consents and statutory permissions, like which are the local bodies, whether the project is going to be executed in gram panchayat area or municipal corporation, what permissions are required. So which authorities from government, like if a project is from uh, let us say somebody is planning to start some project in automotive sector, manufacturing certain automobiles, then authority like ARAI, Automotive Research Institute, they should certify your product. So likewise we need to understand that which are the government authorities which will be required to approve your project, and details of collateral security that can be offered to the financial institution. So if you are taking certain loans, if you are borrowing loans, then what will be the collateral security that you will be giving to the financial institution, so that also to be mentioned. So this is the entire structure, entire, we can say, the variety of contents which will be there in the detailed project report.